Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video will be another form of presentation that perhaps very much likely you don't hear from many other commentators, but here I am because this is exactly how I see things. And what I mean by that, how we have been all sold the illusion, the confusion, the absolutely political theater, geopolitical theater. And a lot of us, including myself, mea culpa here, I admit, I bought into that narrative, that screenplay, that movie, that story they have presented to us. But no longer I am confused about it. I see through this BS. Maybe I don't see the entire truth, but I see, I think, very big portion of it. And there is a lot of sense that it starts to make why certain people are in certain positions, why they are welcoming certain nations, why they are executing certain military moves as well, and why they are playing the good cop and the bad cop. So what am I talking about is almost 4 years of the conflict. It's not 4 years yet. It will be next year in February. Conflict between Ukraine and Russia, of course, we know it's been going longer. That's another story. But as the rabbi who is designated for Ukraine said, he knows exactly when the war in Ukraine ends, and that is January 15th next year. So the peace talks, money talks, business talks, it's gonna keep on going, and probably January 15th, because rabbis, they know best, they're gonna sign some form of another illusion agreement, right? Why I want to present this story to you, because I want to one more time stimulate your own critical thinking and not to be fooled by anything. It's another side of the story. You use your own discernment and look at the certain evidence that I have gathered. It starts to make sense, because at the end of the day, by their fruits, you will know them, right? Before I start, I want to say thank you to Philip, who has donated on my PayPal yesterday, and that is really, really great support. I appreciate you guys supporting my work. You have no idea how much it means to me. So now, without any further ado, let's go to the first post that kind of summarizes what I want to address today. Again, thank you for your patience. I have many different videos and posts ready for you. So one more time, I want to present to you those two maps. The map on the left, you can see at the front of it is Benjamin Netanyahu. No introduction needed to none of those two. What unites them besides this project is, of course, they are both Jewish. I should say Zionist, but we kind of know that. So here you have the Great Israel. This is the plan, and you can see how far it goes. And there is no Palestine here. And then you see here the Great Khazaria 2.0. I've recorded really a number of videos that I have presented to you, the articles, the videos, the interviews with people that have been addressing this, because this entire conflict, and look at the map, you see where this is going? And I believe 100% that Russia and Ukraine are in agreement about this project. 100%. So the Great Israel Khazaria, Muslim and Christians, wake up. This is the post. I'm going to read this to you. However, I don't agree with certain parts. So let me go through this first. This has been going on for years. People warned about it long ago. This is literally happening right in front of our eyes now, but people are still denying it. Some just don't want to accept it. They want to live in their little bubbles like good, obedient sheeple. Muslims and Christians have a common enemy, and if you can't grasp that in 2025, perhaps you are just a goitard. Goitard, you know what it is. So, what I want to say here is this. I think even those creatures are the victims. So it's not just Muslims and Christians have a common enemy. I think they have been used by demonic forces to be that enemy, that evil force that is against Muslims and is against Christians, okay? That's absolutely obvious to me. So there is an energy that is using those people. Some of you might, what am I talking about? That's okay. One day maybe you will understand. I'm fine with it. There is much, much bigger plan that is above all of it, that is using certain groups of people, nationalities, to fight one another, because the true power is when we all unite in spite of the skin color, belief systems, any of it, political, preferences, etc. When we unite at the core as a humankind, they cannot conquer us. So they're gonna create the nations, create the religions, create this, create that, and then that's how they gain the power. But when you look at the dates, let me just show you. This is from the same account. Very good post, because it shows clearly, let me just find it right here. It shows clearly how everything is perfectly aligned. So 1947, we have the creation of CIA. Then we have 1948, just 1 year later, Israel and Mossad, the agency that is in Israel from 1949. But you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if most of the leaders are part of Mossad. But they might not really present this to you, right? Exactly. I'm talking even about the so-called good ones, because that I would not be surprised at all. So let's look at this conflict for a second. Who has been dying during this war or special military operation, however you want to call it? It's a special operation for sure. It is, because certain people have to go and certain people have to come. So who has been dying? Well, majority of those people were probably very much likely the Christian Orthodox believers, absolutely from the Ukrainian side, because as you know, the churches have been destroyed, priests have been killed, the believers have been also killed very often during the ceremonies in those churches. And who has been dying from the Russian side? Of course, also Christian Orthodox believers. So when you look at all of this and you wonder, like, this is like brother killing brother story, right? In the name of, depending on the side, whatever they want to tell you. So why this is all important? Because I have been showing you this Chabad Lubavitch movement for quite some time. It's a certain group of Orthodox believers, very satanic, very demonic, very unhealthy, that have a lot of power and influence over those leaders. But what makes it any difference? What makes any difference between them, those Chabad Lubavitch believers, and someone like this? Let me just mute myself, and we're gonna play the reptilian Klaus Schwab, reminding us once again how those people are put into the position.
And I have to say, when I mention now names like Mrs. Merkel, even Vladimir Putin, and so on, they all have been young global leaders of the World Economic Forum. Mm-hmm. But what we are very proud of now is the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, President of Argentina, and so on, that we penetrate the cabinets. So yesterday I was at a reception for Prime Minister Trudeau, and I know that half of this cabinet, or even more, half of this cabinet, are actually young global leaders of the World Economic Forum.
So, of course, we know Javier Milei. I played this video for you. He was actually very emotional when he visited Israel, Jerusalem, and he went to touched the wall, the freaking wall, yes. He was really, really emotional. And I've showed you when he was singing whatever song it is during his book promotion tour on stage. And yes, he mentioned Putin. At first, some time ago, I thought that was a different reason why Putin went there. Now I know he's just one of those. He's just in a different way presenting the story. Still, people believe that he's only good, nothing bad. I think the worst thing is when you have someone who, when you're dealing with something that is not sincere, but at least it presents itself like you cannot trust, right? So you already know what you're dealing with. I think the worst is when you really think you can trust and you really start to trust and you really believe, and then you start to have questions and you ask yourself, but wait a second, why this Chabad Lubavitch is so active in Russia? Why he's so close with those satanic people, even though he bans Satanism in Russia? So he's playing two sides. He's showing one side to the residents of Russia, to Russian people, that look, I am pro two genders, all right? I am for the country that stands on Christian values, okay? But why then, and I'm against Satanism, but why then you allow the Freemasonry to be present there? Why you allow the Chabad Lubavitch to be very, very active and present there and has so many locations all across the country? You go on the official website, you could see how many in Moscow. And why you even have the closest to you, Rabbi Lazar, who actually has been there right in the moment, or actually before Putin got into his position. So they have been planning all of this for quite a long time. And why? Well, because they always plan ahead, like they plan 100 years ahead, 200 years ahead. Here, let's just look at it. This is just from 2022. Zelensky topped rating of most influential Jews in the world, according to Jerusalem Post. I don't know if you've seen it, but here it is. The Jerusalem Post from September 2022. 50 most influential Jews, our brightest stars. Okay, so let's read this. This is very short. This year, we sought to create a list that would showcase the diversity of the Jewish nation while highlighting people from all walks of life: government, art, medicine, literature, and science. President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, took first place ahead of Prime Minister of Israel, Yair Lapid, and Prime Minister of France, Elizabeth Borne. So we know that he is the most, he's the first, actually, he's the first Jewish president of Ukraine. Again, remember, when they put him in power, what was the year, how things started to unfold. This is a long-term thinking. That's how they are planning. So just from last year, let me show you this. This is just from last year from his official website. April 2024, he met with the Jewish community before Passover. I showed you many of those gatherings before, so you can see it right here. What a picture, everyone. What a picture. Okay, so now where shall we go? Maybe let's go to how this migration is happening at this point. I'm going to play for you a little bit older clip, but the transition, let's put it this way, goes on. It goes on. So the suitcases, the people, the movement is there. Don't you worry. But, Russia has to do some more part of liberating certain areas, moving certain borders, and everything ultimately will take a shape of this Khazaria 2.0. So let's go to this video. By the way, if you ever have any question like this, for example, this is very easy to find. So let me just find the right one. All I did, this is very easy. All I did on Instagram, I put under the search here, Jewish men in Ukraine, and you have so many videos that you can see how this looks like. So let's play the older one, and then we're gonna go to like maybe one of those to present to you how this situation in Ukraine looks like. So the first one here is from June. This is in Ukraine. It doesn't look like they are just pilgrims and tourists. It looks like some of them probably just arrived for some celebration, but it looks like they live there. Kind of looks like they live there. So here we go. Let me mute myself and we go to this older video.
Christians have been slaughtered, and there's a bunch of vacant homes and open land. Now that the Christians have been slaughtered, and there's a bunch of vacant homes and open land, the Jews, of course, have come pouring into Ukraine, with thousands of them flying in from Israel to begin staking claims. Now they've even started up their own police forces. They're setting up checkpoints along the road leading into their new territories, these little Khazarian Israeli outposts. And if you're not a Jew, if you're not part of their tribe, they won't let you pass.
For some reason, all these cars are stopped, and there's soldiers, cops. They asked me if I was a Christian. I have no idea what's happening.
Khazaria, maybe you're right. Please, passport.
Passport, okay. Only Jews are allowed in this area. Okay.
Watch very carefully. Because those Jews in Ukraine, they're wearing some interesting uniforms. They look like sheriff's deputies from some town in North Dakota or Mississippi or New York. Some old classic American town. And obviously the reason for that, the reason why they do that is because America is giving them all of this. Now that the Christians have been slaughtered.
So I've talked about this already before. As you know, a lot of them are already moving there. And they create, kind of like they did in Thailand. I've mentioned this also in one of my videos. They create their zones. And they have their own policing the area. And if you're not part of them, you cannot enter. Imagine, they just go to a country, they settle there, and they decide that no one else can access it. So this is what is taking place as we speak. I just wish more people were talking about it, but I guess some people are simply afraid to address this because they still believe in the black and white, like a floor in the Freemasonry places. Again, don't please just realize that Russia also has Freemasonry. And I talked about it before. So what is the connection between Freemasons and this type of people? Let's take a listen to this video. Let me find it. Because this is very well put together and it explains a lot as far as Freemasons and Zionists. How does this go? All right, let me mute myself, guys. We're gonna play it. I hope you appreciate the content. Hit the thumbs up if you do.
Freemasonry legitimizes the concept of a third temple. Freemasonry is architecture. Freemasonry, it's about building, stone masonry, it's the terminology and jargon of stone masonry being used as metaphorical, lessons and symbolisms for self-improvement. You're building a wall, you're building a building, you're building a better person. So they're all into building, but it's not just anything. They believe in the temple. Everything is the temple. Everything goes back to Solomon. Freemasons believe their art form, their science, their philosophies, their inner teachings go all the way back to Solomon, who built, allegedly, the first temple. Freemasonry legitimizes the concept of a third temple.
So it all kind of makes sense, right? I think we are all connecting more dots here. And soon we might have a one big, beautiful, as Trump says, picture. So where shall we go now? Maybe to Macron for a moment. So many of you know that Macron is absolutely Freemason, no shadow of a doubt. I don't have pictures here, maybe next time I present to you. But what I do have is Macron visiting the wall, because this is like a test, right? You visit the wall or you don't visit the wall. So here is Macron embracing this freaking wall that is left over from the Roman Empire fortress. Check out my video that YouTube demonetized about the wall. The truth about the wall in Israel, that is the video. But I really wanted to know, what is the connection between Chabad Lubavitch and Macron? Is there any Chabad Lubavitch? Of course there is, in France, right? Since Zelensky is now visiting France. Well, now he's in Ireland. My condolences to Ireland. Why in Ireland from all places? One of the most spiritual, beautiful countries on my list to visit. So let's go to this interesting info. Because I'm on the journey to discover everything I can about this freaking Chabad Lubavitch. Let's see. French President Emmanuel Macron's relationship with the Chabad Lubavitch community and the broader Jewish community in France is multifaceted, involving both supportive actions against anti-Semitism and political tensions regarding his Mid-East policies. So let's just read some of it, because there are some details about that Chabad Lubavitch in France. Interactions and support. Condemnation of anti-Semitism. President Macron has consistently and forcefully, he likes force, condemned anti-Semitic acts in France, including a violent assault on a Chabad rabbi in Orleans in March 2025. He has offered full support to the Jewish community and pledged that such hatred will not be tolerated. Official recognition. The Conference of European Rabbis, CER, awarded Macron the Rabbi Lord Jakobowitz Prize of European Jewry for his commitment to fighting anti-Semitism since taking office in 2017. Engagement. Macron's government has engaged with French and European Jewish leaders, including representatives from the French Jewish Umbrella Group, CRIF, on issues of community, security, and battling racism. And here we go, everyone. Chabad presence in France. Chabad Lubavitch has a significant presence in France, with more than 40 centers in Paris and surrounding areas. Chabad representatives emphasize stemming anti-Semitism through continued Jewish life and community strength rather than leaving the country. Oh, I'm sure. Once they're in, they're in for good. So the time when Zelensky met Netanyahu, I was wondering, what did they talk about, how this meeting went, and I found the video. And Netanyahu is going to tell you few things about how happy he is with Zelensky being president of Ukraine. But of course, before I play this, I want to remind you one more time, who we are dealing with. Here he is, Volodymyr, touching the wall. He has to. Everyone has to. Everyone has to. I mean, they don't have to, but they choose to. So let's go to this meeting. First meeting as Zelensky being the president of Ukraine, with Benjamin Netanyahu. This is from 6 years ago, as I can see it here. So let me just play a little bit so you don't have to watch the advertisement. All right, let's go to this video now.
Benjamin Netanyahu is speaking now. Let's take a listen to what he has to say.
Thank you.
I noticed also that since you were elected, the growth rate of Ukraine has nearly doubled. This, I don't think is coincidental. I think it reflects the way people are impressed, as I've been impressed in this visit, by your vision of a prosperous and peaceful Ukraine. And I look forward to working with you, as we've discussed, on advancing our common goals of peace and prosperity. We have, I've been here 20 years ago, so I could see the changes that have taken place and also your desire to accelerate change. And I would like to take this opportunity to invite you to Jerusalem as president. We agreed it would happen next week. Well, it'll happen soon, and you're always welcome in our eternal capital. Both our countries are young, but our peoples are ancient, and our common ties go back centuries, many centuries. The Jewish community in Ukraine is over 1,300 years old, and I want to thank you for agreeing on a mutual development project for Oman that is very important for the Ukraine and for the Jewish people as well. We've had periods of great splendor in our joint relations, but we've also had periods of unimaginable tragedy. During the Holocaust, hundreds of thousands of Jews were murdered in the territory of Ukraine, and later today we will visit Bab Yar, where tens of thousands of Jews were slain by the Nazis and their collaborators. Yet, alongside this horrific chapter of our shared history, I want you to know that Ukraine played a tremendously important role in the development of the modern Jewish state. In fact, I think it's unimaginable to conceive the growth, the rebirth of the Jewish state and the rebirth of the Hebrew language without the role played by tremendous giants, literary giants and political giants who came from the Ukraine, writers such as Shalom Aleichem, Shaul Chernyakhovsky, Chaim Nachman Bialik, without a doubt, two of the greatest Hebrew poets in modern times. And many of the founders of the modern Zionist movement started here too. Ukraine gave us visionaries like Chabad and Jabotinsky. So in many ways, as I mentioned in our meeting, I have a certain connection, a personal connection to the Ukraine, because my father was the editor, at a very young age, was the editor of Chernyakhovsky, one of our two great poets. And my father also worked with Jabotinsky, who inspired many in the national movement and was the father of the party that I lead today. In fact, many of our nation's leaders, prime ministers and presidents came from Ukraine. So Ukrainian Jews, both in history and in the present, are a significant part and an integral part of modern Israeli society. And the Ukrainian Jewish community, I think, is the fourth largest in Europe. Today, this community serves as a human bridge between our countries, and it offers, I think, immense opportunities to help us develop our ties. I think that those ties can be advanced through a number of means. I want to thank you for your decision to ratify in the upcoming parliament, to work towards the ratification of the pensions agreement that we signed for these people. You asked that we pass on to you updated information for this purpose. I will definitely do that. And I believe that we have opportunities that come from the fact that we are living in revolutionary times, positive revolutionary times. The world economy is changing more rapidly than ever before, offering challenges and opportunities that we could only have dreamed of in previous centuries, even in previous decades. I think the future belongs to those who innovate. Israel is the quintessential innovation nation. Ukraine has enormous talents and capacities. We've discovered this because Israeli companies are here. We engage with tens of thousands, some say as many as 50,000 talented Ukrainians in the fields of mathematics, computer engineering, in every conceivable field of modern technology. We see the talent. We both see the opportunity. We want to seize the future. To seize the future, we've made two decisions in this visit that I think can accelerate the seizing of these opportunities. The first is to immediately start working on the free trade agreement, which will be ratified right after our elections in our parliament, but to expand it to include investments. That means investments in services. There's another word for that. It's called high-tech. The second is to open, both in Kiev and in Jerusalem, high-tech development offices. What we would like to see is not merely the exchange of technology and the involvement of Ukrainians in our high-tech industries. We'd like to see Israeli high-tech investments, joint mutual investments here in the Ukraine. Not only do we not mind this, we encourage this. And I think these two measures of the expanded free trade agreement and the opening of these offices in our respective capitals, I think will advance that very, very quickly. We have great confidence, as you do, that small and middle-sized nations can become very big nations by using the conceptual products of a talented citizenry. We have immensely talented people in both countries. We can seize the future separately, but if there's one message that I'd like to deliver from this visit and from our exceptional discussions today, I would say this: we can seize the future separately, but we can do it better together. This is what will come out of this meeting. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
So I hope you were watching this whole thing, because he said a lot. Of course, he cannot say directly, I am creating with Zelensky the great new Israel and Khazaria 2.0. But when you really take a listen, when you really listen to what he's saying, you can actually hear it. You can hear it when you have some understanding of the current events. Because this post here, let me show you, actually summarizes all. Let's not forget that at the end of the day, every war is created for the profit. So this war in Ukraine is just another banker war. It's another war to make money. And again, both sides are playing their parts, because there is no winner and there is no loser. Actually, to those people, there is always a winner. Always. Those on the top who create those conflicts and most of the time train those leaders to act a certain way. You know, there is mind control involved. There is blackmailing involved, mind control, blackmailing, many other things. Or they are simply just part of the same club, as the saying goes, and you're not in it. That's how it looks like. Everything has been presented to people in such a way that at first they were behind Ukraine, a lot of people, not everyone. Then they were questioning things. I was in that group, that I was not believing in it, but I was believing that Russia is doing the right thing. And I'm saying Putin is doing the right thing. For a long time, I thought that. But now, I think he is as involved in this Khazaria 2.0 project as is Zelensky. He's just playing his part. And the worst part of it is that the citizens of his country are being sacrificed as well, very much likely in smaller numbers than Ukrainians are. And the families are broken, and the trauma has been there as well. And I don't like that. I don't like that. I find myself at this point to make peace with uncomfortable truths that I'm coming across. Because at the end of the day, I don't trust any government at all. There's no government that is for the people. There is a government to govern the mind of people, to direct them in whichever direction they want them to go, to be used to their advantage or their bigger long-term plans. If you are put into position of being very powerful so-called leader, you're not there just because it happened. Someone allowed you to be there and someone decided that you will be the candidate, that you will remain there or will be removed from it if you don't play to the same tune. Just perhaps it might look different, but it's still the same underlying bass tune. So we have to be our own leaders. This is my opinion, and we have to really take care of our own lives and don't look for any savior that comes in form of Trump or Putin or this or the other, because you in that very moment are already giving your power away. That's how it looks like. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys supporting my work, supporting my channel, and being open to my view on current events. I will attach the links down below in the description box, and to anyone who chooses and decides to support my work, you can become my Patreon supporter. You have different tiers per month. You can donate on PayPal, you can join Locals community or the membership of this channel. And if you have the Instagram, make sure to follow me there. Let me show you quickly so it's easier for you to memorize. You go to Anya K _44. This is my Instagram. Follow me there. And with this being said, guys, lots of love. And remember, we are the leading edge and we are saving humanity. And I see you in another video. Bye for now.